Hey guys, what's going on? This is Trevor. I apologize in advance. This video might be pretty boring for people who aren't guitar players. I'm going to be going over a very specific thing I decided this week, and probably even the next week and maybe beyond. I'm gonna very much focus on one particular technique. It's related to most of the other techniques, and so everything this week was mostly focused around this one particular thing. I watched some videos, I read some things, and I kind of came to also myself, focused practice kind of leads to the best results. I think I may have been spreading myself a little bit too thin with how I was practicing. So I very much focused just on alternate picking this week, and I've got some things that I wanted to share about it that are related to my progress. I think that I mostly maxed myself out. I mean, I could push myself to about 1/10 of a chromatic exercise. It wasn't perfect, but I could kind of get there. And so I mentioned before tremolo picking, which is the technique where you're mostly just picking quickly and you're focused on accents. So whereas when I'm focusing on every strike, that's about as fast. That's about as fast as I can get it. Where you can get pretty fast if you're mostly just focused on accents. But I've been having some particular trouble, and also when you're not playing this fast, when you try to bring it down to a tempo where it meets and sort of dovetails with your other technique, you can run into some problems because it's kind of a technique that's geared towards playing quickly, and so when you try to find that point where they meet, it can be very difficult. So I can tremolo pick fairly quickly without focusing, but I run into some problems. So I'm trying to bring it down. So I'll give you kind of a demonstration. It's super sloppy. It's not good, but I'll give you a demonstration of what it looks like at a speed that's just outside of my ability. So this is 1/16, I'm doing 16th notes. I'm trying to get 4 notes in between every click. So as you can tell, it's pretty sloppy. It's not good, it's not usable. And that's after me working on mostly this all week. I'm hoping to see a lot more progress as I move through the next couple weeks. But just to give you an example, I'm going to crank it up and I'll show you that there's a significant difference between like quite a bit faster than that. So it'll sound smoother. So this is 136. Crank it up a bit more, 164. I think I'm probably about maxed out at about 180 at this top tempo. And so really all I wanted to do there is to show you that it's a technique that's meant for playing much, much quicker. And so when you try to bring it down to the speed and try to match it up with the speed that you end at with the standard alternate picking technique, it can be difficult. And the reason that I'm really trying to focus on slow to fast, aside from the fact that that's the best way to build proper technique, is that I have some very particular technique problems when it comes to picking. You may have heard them, but I'll point them out. I have a real problem with when I'm alternate picking, that's fine. And mostly the transition from one string to the next when I am ascending or going up in notes fine. So, but when I go descending, when I go from higher to lower, I have a problem. And it occurs when you have to go from inside the string to outside the strings. Let me get a little closer here. Your picking finger has to make a jump from inside the string. So I'll alternate pick and then jump up to pick here. So and that simple thing, what happens to me is this. And as the pick is traveling up, it strikes that string, usually open. So I get this awful sound. Not a problem when but as soon as you can hear it in there. It's not always open. Sometimes it's a mute, but it almost always happens every single time. And I'm trying to focus on building the technique because obviously I don't have to. It's not happening when I'm picking slowly. As soon as I transition to tremolo picking. Now, I did pose this question to somebody, his name is Marvin, he gives online guitar instruction. I posed the question to him, and his instruction was that the way that you should be picking, it should be almost like if you imagine like a semicircle. So the path that your pick takes is a semicircle, such that the tip or the apex of that semicircle reaches the string and doesn't collide with any of the other strings. So you're moving that semicircle path from string to string, and the tip will only be possible, but I still have problems with it. I've tried to like arch my wrist some. So I'm trying a number of different strategies, and I can't find a lot of good information about it online. I imagine if I ask the right person, they have the proper answer, but honestly, the thing I'm thinking is I should just keep practicing. The other primary problem that I have is I'm not very good at playing useful things, alternate picking. When you're using 3 notes per string with scales, you're typically going to be playing triplets or sextuplets. So I'm not very good, and I think it's because of the picking technique problems that I have. I'm not very good at playing those perfectly cleanly. So I can sort of do like short sextuplet or triplet bursts. But it's sloppy and it's not very controlled. And as soon as I start to do like a repeating pattern, like it's just a total mess. I'm just not good at it. So I'm going to focus very specifically the next 3 weeks, however long it takes, until I can do this comfortably at a tempo that dovetails with standard alternate picking, and until I can do all these exercises. But things I always tell students if I'm teaching guitar is I always train them to accent their notes, and I've gotten sloppy with that. So that's actually hurting me quite a bit in terms of tremolo picking, because the reason I say to do it is timing, number one, which is super important. But also when you get to playing at this tempo, you have to have your accents because that's the only way you know where you're at. That's how you stay in time. I'm still working, a little bit on other techniques. I'm not gonna let everything go to waste, but I'm mostly gonna be focusing on this. Like every second I pick up a guitar, it's gonna be like focus. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. It's probably not all that exciting for you non-guitar players, and for guitar players it probably is fingernails on a chalkboard, but I thought I'd share some of the things that I'm struggling with, and honestly, if anybody has any input at all, feel free to comment on this video. I'm looking for any help I can get. But until next week, I will see you guys. Peace.